Today, I want to speak to you about the rule of law. And this is the first episode on the law report. Now, the rule of law is a very important concept of law. The rule of law is a rather abstract concept, a concept that is hard to define. Nevertheless, it can be gleaned that the rule of law connotes this principle of equality before the law. That is, everyone should be treated equally no matter who they are, even if they're ordinary citizens, they're powerful government agencies, or the most powerful among us. Equality before the law is a fundamental principle emanating from the rule of law. More importantly, the rule of law branches off into broader principles such as fundamental human rights, universal rights, and the separation of powers. The separation of powers is a very important concept, and even at the high school level in civics and government, we were taught about the separation of powers on the different branches of government. And we know that they are the legislature, they are the executive, and the judiciary. The function of the legislature is to pass laws, whether in the House of Assembly or in Parliament. The function of the judiciary is to interpret those laws that were passed and to give guidance as to how they are to apply to the lives of the citizens. And the executive is the person who is charged or empowered to sign or execute or to give his assent to these laws to bring them into effect. And it is very important that the lines between these three branches of government should not be blurred, and there should be no overlap. And that is very important. The rule of law could be looked upon as the basic foundational pillar of fundamental human rights. Moreover, the rule of law dictates how human beings, population, and people should behave in a democratic society. And that is why we have some people being referred to as lawbreakers, or some people being referred to as law-abiding citizens. The rule of law also. The rule of law encompasses the right to life, the right to liberty, and the right to security of person, security of property. More importantly, it encompasses the right not to be trampled on by the state or agents of the state or agencies of the state or those who act or behave outside the ambit of the law. It provides remedies and sanction for violations of the law. What are the main principles, you may ask, that emanate from the rule of law? The main principles of the rule of law are fairness, rationality, impartiality, consistency, or certainty. Certainty in that each behavior or matter or issue will be treated in the same manner, and the likely outcome would be the same. Impartiality, that there will be absence of bias. Rationality, in that these people who are tasked to apply the law will apply it in a very rational and reasonable manner. And fairness, that it will apply to everyone equally. Now, the origins of the rule of law could be traced back to 1215 Magna Carta, and that is an interesting discussion for another day. In 1885, an English professor of Oxford University um, by the name of A.V. Dicey coined the phrase the rule of law. And he sets out at that time three guiding principles. The first principle of the rule of law, according to Dicey, was that no one can be lawfully made to suffer in the body or goods except for a distinct breach of established law in the ordinary legal manner before the ordinary courts. So, security was rife throughout Dicey's first principle of the rule of law. Security to goods, security for the person, that if there was an established law, then the person should suffer no penalty or no prejudice. The second principle of the rule of law, according to Dyson, was equality. And here we come back to the very important word equality. And Dicey says that every man, wherever or whatever may be his rank or his station, his rank or his station or his status in life, is subjected to the ordinary law of the realm or amenable to the jurisdiction of the ordinary tribunals, which could be inferred as equal access to the courts. So here again, Dicey was adamant that no matter a person's station in life, their status, they were all equal before the law. And Dicey's third principle was that the unwritten constitution of the United Kingdom could be said to be pervaded by the rule of law because rights to personal liberty or the right to hold public meeting resulted from judicial decisions, whereas under many foreign constitutions which are written, such rights flow from the written constitution. So here, Dicey was effectively saying that under the unwritten constitution, the rights that flowed from that unwritten constitution were influenced by judicial decisions. But in other countries where there are written constitution, the right come directly from that written constitution. Now, why is the rule of law important? The rule of law is important because all of our rights originate from the rule of law. And without the rule of law, there's nothing for us to fight for. Without the rule of law, there could be no right to enforce the contract because there will be no contract system. There will be no right to protect our intellectual property and our ideas because there will be no right to intellectual property. There will be no protection from human rights abuses by the states. There will be no remedy against unlawful, arbitrary, or unreasonable arrests, unreasonable search and seizure. So that is the importance of the rule of law. Without the rule of law, there will be anarchy, chaos, and untold atrocities. where the weak will suffer and the rich, powerful, and mighty will run roughshod over the unfortunate in society. When the rule of law is secure, access to justice is guaranteed. And in my next episode, I will speak on access to justice.